Hello, good morning. I can actually say good morning. Happy Sabbath. It's Saturday, January 20th, and I'm about to record chapter 20 of Genesis. I hope you all had a great week. Thank you for those who have been viewing the videos and leaving comments. And I pray that you all will be inspired by something you hear or think of while I'm reading, or for those of you who haven't joined yet and are going to be joining, I pray that you will be inspired by something. It's the whole reason why I'm doing this. The likes are great and the subscriptions are fine, but just for you to join in and listen and be inspired is my true focus. So today we are going to review chapter 19 of Genesis before I read chapter 20. And in chapter 19, um, two of the angels go to Sodom and Gomorrah because there were three initially in chapter 18. One stayed back to speak with Abraham, whom he kept calling Lord, and then another two went on to Sodom and Gomorrah, and their aim was, of course, to destroy the city because it was so wicked, it was sinning. The sins were so grievous that that God had decided he would have to remove Sodom and Gomorrah from off the face of the earth. My goodness. So when the two men went into Lot, they wanted to stay in the street, but Lot convinced them to stay at his house. And during the night, the men of Sodom, even the children, came knocking at Lot's door, demanding that the men come out unto them. Now, we all know what the sin of Sodom was. I don't need to explain it. So the men, Lot went out to beg on behalf of the men that no, don't do this to the men. Take my daughters instead. My goodness. Yeesh. I mean, such an exchange. I don't think I would have gone there. But he maybe knew that they weren't even going to be interested in his daughters. So he still offered his daughters, who were supposed to be unknown according to biblical terms. But the men refused, and they even started pushing their way through past Lot, threatening to injure Lot, to get to the men. And that's when the men, who we know are angels, had to step in and blind the crowd for them to step away and leave Lot and his house alone. And that's when they told them, pack up everything and get ready to leave this place because God is going to destroy it. And Lot's wife, like most women or people who have material possessions that they are more close to in their hearts and minds, decided that she would look back because she maybe wanted to see, is my house burning back there? So she turned into a pillar of salt. I've always questioned why a pillar of salt. I'm sure it's symbolic of something. But she did not make it with them out of the city. She did make it out, but she did not last. She did not stay. She wasn't alive. She became a pillar of salt. And then Lot and his two daughters went to a nearby city. Even though the angels were telling them go to the mountains, he asked could he go to the city, which they called Zoar. And from the city, it seemed he still ended up going to the mountain because he couldn't stay in the city. And because of that, that's why that city too was not destroyed. So you know how sin spreads. It's like a fungus, honestly. So whatever is close by, you're going to be infected unless you are living, you have that banner of Christ over you or that Spirit of God within you. You will not be free from the ravages of sin, literally. So while Sodom burned, Lot and his daughters were preserved. And now while they were saved from the fire, the sin of Sodom was still in them, the sins maybe of Sodom, because children live what they learn and they learn what they live. They must have been seeing all the things that had been happening. I believe they had husbands. The husbands did not want to come. His sons-in-laws refused to go with him. So the daughters did have husbands, but they were not saved. They must have been caught up in the sins of Sodom. And the daughters were open to it. Maybe their husbands came home bought the stuff in. Maybe they were able to go out, see the things. We have to be so careful what we allow into our homes, the things our families are exposed to, the things our children get caught up into. Schools, workplaces, communities can be breeding ground for some terrible habits. And to say, that's what happened with Lot's daughters. They made their father drunken, first of all, and secondly, lay with him, which is incestuous. That was what they committed. And both children that came out of those pregnancies, one was Moab, or the Moabites, and the other was Ammon, or the Ammonites, and they both became enemies of Israel later on. So we will see how sin spreads like a fungus, like a virus, like how we had the COVID-19. Yeah, we can think about that. It's a pandemic. So, moving on now to chapter 20, let's see what happens. And Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech king of Gerar sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, thou art but a dead man for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, She is my sister? And she, even she herself, said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. And God said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and told all these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham, and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed, she is my sister. She's the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, This is thy kindness which thou shalt show unto me. At every place whither we shall come, say of me, He is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen, and maidservants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of thy eyes, unto all that are with thee, and with all other. Thus she was reproved. So Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife, and his maidservants, and they bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech, because of Sarah, Abraham's wife.